view. Oh my God, there is so much light here. What can I do? In this apartment, you know, I have the big, huge luck of having tons of sunlight. So I would have never thought that the problem would have been to have too much sunlight. Sorry about it. You're gonna tell me if it's too bright. I'm gonna do something with the curtain. So the title of the live stream of today is, I mean, my live streams last 2 hours, but I just wanted to start by telling you how it is to live in your city right now. Right now, intended with this still pandemic situation, but a little bit more advanced start of the vaccine rollout. So right now it's a bit strange to live in New York City because I've been coming here for 2 years, visiting the city before actually living here. And so I got the chance to see how the old New York City was, and I can tell it was completely different than it is right now. Right now, New York, in comparison to how it was before, it's a ghost town. It's really empty, which is still, there are still many people around if you come from a smaller place, you know, a smaller town, a smaller city around the world. But still, New York was such a densely populated city that now seeing especially certain corners of Manhattan, for example, in Manhattan there are mainly 2 areas that are very dense in offices. They are very commercial areas, they're not residential, which are the financial district at the very tip, southern tip of the island, and then Midtown around Times Square, so to say. And these 2 areas right now, if you go, they are very empty. It's pretty impressive. Of course, there are always people on the street. It's not like last spring when we were all in quarantine, but all those, you know, huge crowds of people coming out of the offices for lunch or to go back home in the afternoon or in the morning, they are not there anymore. And because they are not very residential areas as well, they feel pretty ghostly, if you say so in English. I live in the East Village, so welcome to everyone who is joining the chat right now. You are live from East Village, Manhattan, New York City, United States, America, North America. Speaking of North America, you know, during my last live stream, which was about 1 month ago, it was called A Cozy Chat of Mid-January, if anyone has watched it. Unfortunately, that live stream is gone. You cannot even rewatch it on playback because I think I accidentally deleted it one day a few weeks ago. It's not there on my channel anymore. Very sorry about it, because especially there was a moment in the live stream where I started laughing without control because some of you made a joke about pizza crust that was super, super hilarious. And by rewatching that part, every time I would laugh again. So it was a nice pick-me-up for those moments where you need a laugh, you know? Also, I thought about it because we were also discussing a lot about the continents. So we were discussing about whether there are 6 continents or 5 or 7, if the Americas are considered 1 continent or 2 continents or 3 continents, and if Europe and Asia are separated or they are not. All that stuff. Anyway, that live stream is gone, so let's make another super cool live stream today to keep in the channel so we can rewatch it. And now I see I have more than 100 people online, so I can start looking at the chat. Good morning, everyone, first of all. Hello, Midgard. Love the hair. Oh, wow, thank you. They are all over the place. I literally was blow drying my hair until 5 minutes before going live. So they might be a bit all over the place now. They're gonna go up, down. Someone asked me in Italian why I speak only in English, because this channel is in English. If I start speaking in other languages, all the people that follow me that only understand English are not going to understand. Paolo Pugliese says, Rome is really like Resident Evil. What is that? I think it's a video game. Anyway, Ghost Town, Rome 2. I must say that among all the reasons why I'm sorry to not be in Italy right now, one thing is particularly intense, and it is to go see the very touristy cities empty of tourists, especially Venice. You know that I come from the area close to Venice, so that city it feels very much home for me, even if I've never lived there. And as you all know, Venice has suffered so much from over-tourism in the last few years, and seeing it without tourists during COVID is something that really, I would like to do it so much. And Rome too. I lived in Rome actually for almost 3 years, and always the city center was so crowded with tourists, and it would be so interesting to go, see the Colosseum and, I don't know, the Fontana di Trevi, all these touristy spots without tourists. By the way, if any of you is new to my live streams, click on the description below the video, because you will see some guidelines for the live streams, some tips about how I read the comments and how you can have your comments read, and some rules for the live stream. John W, hello, one of my patrons. Have you had some good pizza lately in your city? I read your question because I actually had, was a couple of weeks ago already. I was really craving some pizza, the Neapolitan pizza, some real one, real authentic Italian pizza, and I knew where to go. So I took my husband one evening. It was still, indoor dining was still closed in New York City, and outside it was almost snowing. It was around 0 degrees Celsius, I believe, and we went to eat a Neapolitan pizza outside on the sidewalk. Of course, we had a heater and everything, but yes, it was in this restaurant that's called Ribalta here in Manhattan. It's close to Union Square, just 1 or 2 blocks south of Union Square. And I discovered that place actually thanks to a video collaboration that I shot with John Barr from the channel Here Be Bar. Shout out to John, and you can go watch the video that I shot with him in his channel. It's called something like New York City pizza versus Neapolitan pizza or Italian pizza, something like that. It was a comparison, and so we went first to a New York City classic slice place, and then we went to this pizzeria Ribalta, or Ribalta as they say here. And so I went again, and it was absolutely delicious. It felt like being in Italy again, seriously. Ken, hello Ken, have you been to Italy? What do you think of it? I've been to Italy here in New York City, specifically the one in Flatiron District, because I think there are 2. And to be honest, I've never been there to eat, but to buy groceries. So Italy, now it's gonna be interesting for the foreigners here in the chat, because Italy is seen as an Italian-American kind of place, but it's not. It's really Italian. We have, Italy originated in Italy, I think in Turin is the owner from. I'm sorry, the light of this live stream is terrible. Let's see if I put up the... Yoo-hoo! It's a very sunny day in New York City today. It's terrible as well. I don't know what to do with this lighting. Anyway, Italy is it's a real Italian place. We have Italy, in several different cities. I've been to the one in Turin and the one in Rome. And in Italy, it's very different than the one in New York City, the one in Flatiron, the one I've been to, because it's mainly a huge market of very high quality selected foods, groceries. Whereas here in New York City, it's more about the restaurants, which makes sense because in New York City, people tend to cook less than in Italy and tend to rather go to the restaurants. So here it's mainly about a restaurant experience, and then you have a section where you can buy some groceries. So I only went there to buy groceries, which are extremely expensive, as they are in the Italy's in Italy. But here, because the prices are already as a standard very expensive, then it's even more exaggerated. Hello, Mel, my moderator. I see it's in the chat. Thank you very much for moderating, for helping me to moderate this chat, Mel. Ralph, hello. Qwerty Johannes, Auke, Steven, hello. Oh my God, you are all here. These are all my Patreons. Time for a Kiss, you're here too. Time for a Kiss always asks me very curious questions in the live streams. And he or she says, I've been to 2 of the pizza places you recommended, but I hated them. Chicago dish, oh, this is interesting. Chicago deep dish pizza is better than New York City. Time for a Kiss, I don't know who you are, I don't know where you're from, but now I can understand that you are definitely either American or, in any case, not Italian, because it's quite common, I must admit, among foreigners, speaking from the perspective of an Italian, obviously, for foreigners to not like Italian authentic pizza. And the reason is very simple, because other countries are used to have more intense flavors, stronger flavors. Especially here in America, foods are so filled with spices and salt and lots of grease, and a lot of food is fried. And Italian cuisine is all about being light and using very few ingredients, but very high quality ones. So if you're used to a cuisine that is at the opposite, you're probably going to struggle to enjoy Italian cuisine. So I totally understand if you didn't like the authentic Italian pizza. I guess it's normal. Steven Michalski also agrees Chicago pizza is better. I think I've never tried the Chicago pizza. I tried the Detroit pizza here in New York City, though, not in Detroit. So I don't know if it's an authentic one. There is this chain here in New York that is called, I think, Detroit Pizza or something like that. And I ate pizza there 2 or 3 times. It's higher, pretty crunchy, and absolutely packed with flavor. You bite into it and it's like an explosion of flavor in your mouth, which makes it very tasty. For me, again, as an Italian, it is a little bit too aggressive. Like it's like someone is punching my mouth. And especially when there is so much flavor, I cannot recognize the single ingredients that are in there. So it's a bit strange for me. Saluti dall'Argentina! Hi there in Argentina, our cousins. Don Vito says American food are filled with ingredients that are banned in Europe. Actually, I haven't done lots of research about that, but I know that this is true. There are many ingredients in American foods that are banned in Europe. And to be honest, as European, I struggle to trust American food, American regulations on food, and therefore I'm a bit worried about the food that I'm eating here. So when I was visiting the United States, it was not a problem, because if you just eat something wrong for a few weeks or a few months, it's not a problem. Your body, adjusts. But now I've been staying here for longer than a year because I came here last February and I could never go back to Italy. Now I'm starting to be worried. I'm taking some supplements sometimes, but it's very strange for me because I really dislike the light in this live stream. Let's see if this is better. I don't think it's better. Also, I'm using the YouTube app instead of a different app, so I think it's not working properly. Okay, let's read some of your comments. Jitesh from India, hi there. You finally saw snow through video, or you are here in the United States? We've been having so much snow in New York City this winter. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. The ones that know me know that I love snow, and it was literally snowing 2 days ago. Today it's already a super sunny day. Look at that. But we haven't had much sun lately. So, let me answer to the most requested question lately. I've been having a portion of new audience that is specifically Italian, because they came from a video that went viral, and it was the only video that I shot in Italian on my channel. So many of them are new on this channel, and they are wondering why an Italian is in New York. Why do I live here, and how do I live here? How did I manage to live here? And all these questions. And today I'm gonna answer to these questions once and for all, because I cannot answer to you all personally. So, tons of you keep asking me, how can they come to New York City or to the United States to live? How can they find a job, and so on and so forth? I don't know what to answer you, because I didn't come to the United States to work. I never worked in the United States. Still nowadays, I don't have my work permit, and I'm not working in the United States. Even when I'm gonna have my work permit, I don't think I'm gonna work here, because my work is this on YouTube. So I don't know about that. About migrating here, I also don't know much about it. I probably know the same things that you know, that it's very difficult. And what else? It's very difficult. What I know is that you can either get sponsored by a company, an American company, that is going to be willing to pay for your visa and all the papers that they have to do in order to have you here working for them. As you can understand, this is a very hard option, because you have to have certain skills that are hard to find here in the United States among people that are already American citizens, or people who already migrated here for other reasons, and they already have a visa and a permit to stay here. As for living here, don't ask me, because I am living here just because my husband lives here. He is American, an American citizen, and we got married. We were having a relationship, like a sort of a long distance relationship before the pandemic. I was coming here with an ESTA, which for many countries is the possibility of a visa waiver to come to the United States for up to 90 days per time, per visit. Then I was here with Esta when the pandemic hit last February, and when I saw that the pandemic was going on, I decided to get married with my boyfriend to be able to apply for green card and be able to actually live together here, because he couldn't move to Italy. I was the only one who could move away from her country, so that's what I did. So I am very sorry that I cannot give you any further information, but I'm not here because I wanted to live in the United States. I never wanted to live in the United States. I never worked here, so I never researched about the topic. I just happened to live here because of completely different reasons. Okay? That's the answer. I hope many of you will have heard it, and I don't know, will help me with the comments, because so many people want to come to the United States and I don't know what to tell to them. Some ask me, how often do I go back to Italy? Well, usually I travel full time and I go back to Italy every, I would say 3 months. Every 2 to 3 months I go back. It depends on where I'm traveling. Obviously, I've always traveled in very easy places to go back to my country. But for example, I would love to travel to China, to New Zealand, to Japan. If I had to travel there, obviously I would stay more than 3 months there. Or more than 3 months away from my country, most likely. Right now, I haven't been back to Italy since before the pandemic. I hope I will be back this year sometime, maybe in the summer. Let's see. Ooh, a Couchsurfing related question. I like that. Lorenzo, how well do you need to know English to make a first Couchsurfing workaway experience? Well, for workaway is a bit more necessary because you have to work. So you need to have a language in common with your host. It doesn't need to be English. It can be the language of your host or a language that you know in common, but you definitely need to have at least I would say B1 level, the European B1. A2 is a little bit, it could work, but you put your host into difficulty because you are going to be harder to give instructions to and stuff like that. So I would suggest at least a B1 instead. For Couchsurfing, again, it depends from the host. You could even get hosted without having any language in common. But it depends. If the host likes that kind of challenge, it could be interesting. But most of hosts, I think, will want to be able to communicate with you verbally. So I would say at least an A2, at the very least an A2 of English is suggested. Someone's asking me, where is my wedding ring? I keep it in, I don't wear it all the time. Sometimes I wear it. Yesterday evening, for example, I wore it because I went out for dinner. It was an event, really, with my husband. So sometimes I put it on. Sometimes I keep it for weeks. Some other times I just wear it for one night. I'm not I don't wear jewelry much. It's annoying for me to keep it. So since in the chat I see a lot of people talking about COVID and stuff like that, I'm gonna just describe a little bit how it is, the situation in New York City, very quickly. Right now, since 1 week, we have indoor dining open again. So the restaurants have been closed for dining in for almost the entire winter, I believe. They closed indoor dining in maybe November during the holiday seasons because we had a scary increase in cases, in COVID cases during the holidays, probably due to the fact that people were going shopping a lot and they were going home to their families to celebrate the holidays, and so they they contagied each other, basically. Now things slowed down in the past 1.5 months, since the beginning of January, I believe. The cases went down, down, down. And 1 week ago, or 10 days ago, finally indoor dining opened again at still 25% capacity, which it sounds very little, but it's not, because in your city you have to imagine that restaurants are, in normal conditions, very crowded. You literally eat with your elbows next to your neighbor off table. So 25% is really the limit to be able to self-distantiating from other people who are eating at the restaurant as well. And many restaurants will take your name and phone number in case, there had been a case of COVID in that restaurant that evening. They can contact you and tell you to go get tested and be careful. For the rest, everyone wears a mask here. On the street, it's pretty rare. Less than 10% of people on a normal street are going to not wear a mask. And by not wearing a mask, I mean also having it underneath the chin. Of course, indoors, always the mask, absolutely. For outdoors, I don't know. I think it's also a political gesture here to constantly wear the mask, because in the United States, this whole pandemic thing has been very much politicized, and the pro-masks were the Democrats usually. So since New York City is a very democratic city, people tend to wear the mask more, I believe. And even I'm totally pro-masks, by the way, but I'm aware that it's not necessary to wear a mask in the middle of the street when you are not getting in contact with anyone, you're not talking to anyone, you're just walking alone. But I still wear it all the time because it's just, everyone does it, it feels weird not to have it. Also, I must say, in the winter, with the harsh cold that we have here in New York City, it's kind of nice to have your lower part of the face covered, simply for for practical reasons. It keeps your face warm. So it's not a big deal. Everyone wears a mask here. For the rest, all the shops are open. I don't think any shop that cannot be open is not open. And all the cultural things and the shows and the sports are all closed. Although I've heard that they might reopen soon with very strict rules as well, obviously. But yeah, this is the situation. If you have any questions about how it is to live here in New York City during this special time of the history, please ask me in the question. And in the meantime, I got 2 super chats. Paolo Dairos, 10 euros. Thank you very much, Paolo, from Italy. And Peter Jonsson, hello from Sweden. Hello to you, Peter, from New York City. Thank you for your super chat. Martin asks, in Italy, do people argue about masks as much as we do in America? Well, that's an interesting question, but I live here, so I cannot answer. I hope someone else will do in the chat. My impression is that no. Here in the United States, people are very much divided. and they tend to think black or white. So either you have to wear a mask in every possible situation, even if you are in the middle of the woods and you are alone hiking, or other people think that masks don't work, they cause cancer, they make you sick, they I don't know, they have a microchip in there to control people and stuff like that, and masks are the devil. So this is how I see the situation here. Obviously not everyone thinks like that, but it's very much black or white, and very much people are very divided. Whereas I feel like in Italy, people are more open to discussion with others that have different opinions than theirs. Although that's not always good, because sometimes I hate Italians for constantly criticizing, constantly discussing anything that someone has to say. But I must say, at least they are used to discussions, and they are used to confront people who have different opinions than theirs. Another super chat, David Finzi. Thank you for the $5. Scrivo in inglese per tutti di capirmi. David, you are Italian American, I suppose. I live in New York City too, and I take city bike instead of public transportation, only for now during COVID. David, I hope you are gonna continue even after COVID, because I think taking the bike has so many benefits to it rather than taking public transportation. Of course, the worst is taking the car, in my opinion, because it's just a waste of time. If you're driving, you cannot do anything else, and it's really a waste of time, in my opinion. Whereas at least if you're in public transportation, you can, focus on the podcast that you are hearing, or you can read a book, you can do something with your hands, you can answer to text messages to your friend and stuff like that. And then the best of the best is commuting by bicycle, in my opinion, because not only is hassle-free because of parking and because of insurance and maintenance and stuff like that, is also not free, but it's very low cost meaning of transportation. It's definitely the cheapest of these three: car, public transportation, bicycle is the cheapest one. But also it allows you to exercise while you are commuting. I mean, how cool is that? I think that if you think about it, it's so amazing that I really don't know why people don't bike around more often. I see people going around by car all the time. They go to work, they go to pick up the kids, they go here, they go there. And then in the evening, they take the car, they go to the gym, they park the car in front of the gym. Maybe they also have to find parking, so they take extra 10 or 15 minutes for that. And then they go into the gym, they take their 1 or 2 hours training, and then they take the car again to go home. I mean, if you did all your errands just by taking the bicycle in the first place, after you pick up the kids from school, you go home, you have 2 or 3 hours extra to do whatever you want, instead of having to go to the gym and pay for a membership, by the way. So, certain things I really don't understand. Polyedrica, hi darling, why someone would live in your city? What do you suggest to a person who wants to restart his life? Why would someone want to live in your city? Because it's a fervent city. There's always something happening. If you are a person who needs a lot of stimuli, if you love social life, for example, if you love to be able to talk to strangers all the time and to listen to amazing, unthinkable stories, or if you want to go to the restaurants, maybe you love the restaurant scene and you would like to try a new restaurant every day, which would be very unhealthy, by the way, not suggested that. But if you want all these things, then New York City would be an amazing place to live. I think that living in New York City for very long periods of time, I wouldn't suggest that. Of course, there are many people who were born in New York City and keep living in New York City, and for them it's just the normality. But I think living in such a big metropolis is very much dehumanizing. In the sense that after a while that you live here, I can only bring my own experience with this, obviously. So I'll talk about my experience. Coming here, after a while that you live here, you have to learn how to not care about other people. Which sounds horrible, and it is also not a very nice thing. That's why I'm saying that I don't think it would be a good thing to live in New York City for too long. I am going through a process of desensitization towards other people's feelings and conditions of life, because when you live in such a big place, you realize that there are so many people around that you cannot care for every one of them. Again, this is just my personal experience. Maybe maybe I'm weird. I don't know. But that's why I wouldn't suggest to live here for too many years. As for the other questions, what do you suggest to restart a life? I suggest to think about the restart of a life as a process and not as a fixed point in time. And I suggest to be aware of the fact that it's going to take a lot of work and progressive work. That it's not going to be from today to tomorrow or from today to next week, your life is going to be changed. It needs a lot of work. You're going to take months or maybe a few years. So be patient and take things step by step. And make peace with the past, because we are all made of past, present, and future. You cannot just delete one part of your life. Okay, let me read. I'm getting so many comments. Is winter colder in New York or where you came from in northern Italy? It is a little bit colder here. I'm from Udine in northern Italy. I would say it's 3-4 degrees Celsius colder here. But other than that, it's very similar. People always think about Italy and think that it's warm. But you have to realize that Italy is very long, north to south. So in the south is warm, but in the north it's really like in the rest of Europe, in the rest of continental Europe, let's say. Federica, do you prefer New York or an Italian city where to live? Oh, Italian city, 100%. Look, to visit, if I had to say where would be better to spend 1 year of your life, I would say New York City, because it's so stimulating and you can learn so many things here. You can meet so many people, hear so many different stories. So it's really enriching in a quantitative way, you know. But as for quality of life, New York is absolutely terrible. New York has has probably the worst quality of life that I've ever seen in places that I visited. People here live in their own garbage. There are pests everywhere. They live with this constant noise, mechanical noise from construction sites, from police sirens. I think it's absolutely terrible. Again, very much dehumanizing. But for visiting, the best. I think all these big metropolises are the best for visiting, for living in a short period of time, because they make you learn so much in a very short amount of time. As for quality of life, Italy, absolutely. Italy, I mean, you cannot even ask these questions. Isaac says, I love the New York City subway train sounds. Yes, me too. I like them. I'm not saying that they are unpleasant. Even the background noises, the police sirens, they still communicate that there is life around you, that there are many people like you that are living around you. It's nice. It's cool, but if you have these constant things, I don't know, it's a matter of being immersed in an environment that is dehumanizing. I think it's very stressful to have constantly these background noises around you. And I think it's not stressful at the conscious level. I think it's stressful at a very unconscious level. So it's something that you can only discover in the long term, if that makes sense. Ciao Francesco! Un saluto veloce. Rula says, New York City is okay for young people, not so much for family life and kids. I think it's amazing for young people. To make a family for kids, it's absolutely terrible. Whenever I see young kids being born and growing up here, they don't even know where an orange comes from. No, it's scary. It's scary that the citizens of tomorrow are these people who grew up in these places where people screw each other up every day. They try to trick the other person for their personal gain. Wait, I have 2 super chats. David, thank you for the $5. Quando ne facciamo il vaccino riusciremo di vedere nostre famiglie, i tuoi in Friuli e i miei in Torino, e anche amicizie. E da dove la tua inglese? What do you mean? La tua inglese? Il tuo inglese. Ok. Da dove viene il tuo inglese? So, how did I learn English? I learned English by practicing it. Wait. Rewind. I learned English at school. In Italy, you start learning English when you are 6 years old. So when you start elementary school, English is compulsory for everyone. It's just a couple of hours per week, 1 or 2 hours per week, but you go on till you finish school learning English. The problem is that as everyone realizes, Italian schools are not very good at teaching English for some reason, or foreign languages as well, because I was studying German as well in school, and I've had a similar experience with German. When you actually find yourself with the need of speaking that language and producing content in that language, you don't understand. You can't manage to do it. It's very hard, especially with verbal practicing of the language. So when you find yourself speaking to someone, because if it's about reading and listening, more or less you can manage. If it's about writing, you have time to check in the vocabulary and, check the grammar rules and everything. But if you have to speak with someone, it's hard to really just pronounce the words. Maybe you have the sentence in your mind, grammatically absolutely correct, but then you really struggle to put it into words out loud, to say it out loud. And that's why I created no, and I don't want to make advertisement of my products here, but this is really the reason why I created a course to improve the English pronunciation to Italians. Because I think that's really the part of the language that is completely disregarded in Italian schools. They teach us everything about grammar, about reading, about writing, but then they don't teach us how to speak the language, which is the use that most people do with English in the end, right? Because not everyone is going to write in English, but everyone at a certain point is going to have to speak English to someone. So, yeah. Then I answered your question. I practiced a lot. Don Vito, do you learn proper English or American English in Italian schools? Oh, you're from the UK. We learn British English in Italian schools. That's why sometimes I use British terms, or I have a British pronunciation of certain words. TY Boogie, are you in New York City to stay for good, or are you planning on moving back to Italy? I'm definitely planning on moving back to Italy at some point in my life, but before that, I'm planning to continue to travel full time, which is what I was doing before the pandemic. So before the pandemic, I was a digital nomad, which means that I gave up having an apartment, having to pay a rent in a specific location. And instead, I invested that money into traveling. And yeah, I would still come back to Italy from time to time. I have all my friends and family there, but yeah, that's it. In the meantime, thank you very much to my moderator, Mel, for helping me with managing the chat. I'm really appreciating you, Mel. Thank you. Nick, is your husband an entrepreneur as well? Yes, he is. He owns a restaurant here in New York City. Oh, David, another super chat. Thank you. Farai il vaccino? If I'm gonna get vaccinated, of course I am. I still don't know where, because I'm Italian citizen. I don't know. I'm gonna be one of the last people at the end of the year to get the vaccine, so I'm not worrying about it now. Namaste. How do you make new friends in a new city? Good question. Get out there, first of all. It depends on how you are, how your personality is, I think. Again, I can only speak by personal experience. I am a person who is quite introverted, so if I'm in a new city, I have no friends there, I tend to want to close myself in my room or in my apartment and just stay there and not go out, not even for groceries. So to a person like me, I would suggest go out there, first of all. Take it easy, just take walks if you struggle to get out of your room or your apartment. First of all, just take walks and observe people around you, observe what is around you, and then slowly start talking with people and make yourself ridiculous. which is the same thing that you need to do if you're learning a foreign language. Make yourself ridiculous. It's an inevitable step, I think, to make new friends, to meeting new people. So especially if you are in a big city, the advantage is that if you are ridiculous with a foreigner, he's never gonna see you ever again. So whatever, just do it. Philip, thank you for the super chat. Honestly, I wouldn't want to live in the US with very high medical debt. I love to visit though. Yes, Philip, I think I don't know. Living in the United States gives a lot of opportunity. I think opportunity is the biggest positive thing about living or migrating to the United States. But as a quality of life, then again, here in New York City, very low. Then I don't know in the rest of the United States. But for sure, there are certain elements, for example, this fact that you don't have universal free healthcare, that are just out of this world. So I would never want to live in a country like that. Jim, hello Jim. What do you think about astrology in view of the evil man who shares your birthday? Does this not invalidate astrology? Oh my god. Jim is talking about the fact that my birthday is in the same day as Adolf Hitler's birthday. Jim, I don't know. I've never followed astrology. It's not that I believe it or I don't believe it. I never even researched about it. I don't know anything about it. So I really don't know. Christian, I think Colorado will be nice just because pot is legal. Christian, pot is legal in so many other countries. For example, in Canada, it's legal in the whole country, not only in one province. Yeah, and in other places too. Luca, do you speak other languages than English? Yes, I do. I speak German. That's it. I know these two languages pretty well, so I'm fluent in both of them, but those are the only two foreign languages that I know. David, mi raccomando, ritorna Arthur Avenue dopo il Covid. Yes, I will. David is suggesting me. David is an Italian American. We messaged before because he always goes or used to go before COVID to Arthur Avenue with his dad. Arthur Avenue is a place here in New York City. It's in the middle of the Bronx, the borough of the Bronx, where there is still a lot of Italian American presence, and there are a lot of shops, a lot of restaurants, grocery stores. There are Italian. Where was I born? In Italy, in the region of Friuli. Someone asked Bavarian German. No, I don't know Bavarian German. No, I know Hochdeutsch. Hal, when are you going to visit Connecticut? I think you would like the architecture at Yale University in New Haven. Also, we have good food and nice museums at Yale. Maybe one day I will visit Connecticut. I always pass through Connecticut. I drive through it, but I never really stop that much. Is contemporary arts active in New York City? I believe it is. I'm actually subscribed to a newsletter, weekly newsletter with galleries, openings, news and stuff like that, and I'm still receiving it. I don't read it, but I'm still receiving it. So I think, yes, galleries keep being open. Yeah, speaking of American healthcare, Don Vito says something that I think as bad as it sounds, it's very true. In American healthcare, you're not a patient, you are a customer. That's obviously not in the whole system, but because you have to go through insurance to get medical care, to at least a part of the system, you are a customer, which is very sad. I'm sorry. Giuseppe Antonio, do you usually host people in your house? You mean Couchsurfing? No, I don't, because of COVID. I have a very small apartment because I live in the middle of Manhattan where the apartments are very small. So no, I'm not. QWERTY. Oh, QWERTY says, one of my patrons, my birthday is the same as Pol Pot. Well done, QWERTY. Oh my God. Ken asks, do you follow Italian football? Do you have a favorite team? No, I don't follow Italian football. I've never been fond of calcio. Sorry. My city has a team, which is Udinese. So if I had to support any team, it would be the one from my city. But you know how the teams are in big sports. There are no players from that city. Like, in the team of my city, there are no players that come from my city, I'm sure. Riccardo from Italy asks, are the Black Lives Matter movement still protesting in the USA? Here in Italy, the news just stopped talking about it. Yes, it's still going on. So something that maybe not everyone knows is that Black Lives Matter movement was not born last year. So it wasn't born with George Floyd, for example, with the George Floyd event. It's a movement that, I don't know when it was born, by the way, but it's been going on for a few years now. So even if the George Floyd protests specifically stopped at this point, the protests for, equality of rights are still there. Johannes! Hi, nice to see you here. Another one of my old-time patrons. Did you ever had a crush on Eros Ramazzotti, or did you prefer Zucchero? Thanks for the super chat, Johannes. So Eros Ramazzotti is an Italian singer that is, for some reason, very famous outside of Italy in certain countries. Especially, I remember when you go to the Balkans, it's everywhere. And I really don't understand why, because I think it's horrible. I'm sorry, but I just don't like it. Zucchero is a bit better. It's never been my taste, but at least Zucchero has done certain interesting things, musically speaking. Zucchero focused on the blues, like the genre of blues, sang in Italian. And that's it. That's all I can say about these two artists. Salvatore is asking again, how can I come to the US, find a job, visa, etc.? I answered to this question at the beginning of this live stream. So when this live stream is gonna be over, you're gonna go back and watch the replay, because I answered to that already. Okay, hello. Do you still grow plants that you can use as spices in Italian food, like basil and oregano? Okay, yes, I am. So yes, yeah. I'm gonna show you. This is very embarrassing and very sad at the same time. This is my rosemary. Yeah, so basil is a summer plant, so I don't have rosemary, basil in the winter, obviously. But I tried to buy a rosemary plant. I did it in November. It was very nice and green. And I don't know what I do to rosemary plants. This is the second one that I kill. Sage is the same. I used to keep sage plants in Italy all the time. They would always, after a few months, die. I don't know what's the matter with them. Now rosemary as well. This rosemary lasted for probably 1 week, nice and green, and then it started getting dry. And I repotted it, I changed place, I put it outside, I put it indoors. Nothing. Now at this point, I think it's just that the plant is dead. I don't know. Very sad story. Sorry. Let's talk about something happier. Plant murderer. Thank you, Steven. But I'm also a plant saver because I have a snake plant that, yeah, probably is gonna die too because it got the snow. Not because of me. It got the snow. I found it outdoors during a snowstorm. I brought it home. It's not doing well, but let's see. Time for a chat. Which 3 places in the US look most like places in Italy? Oh, wow. So the US are extremely big. They're vast, and I have seen just a very, very, very tiny fraction of them. And I haven't seen much similarities with Italy, I must admit. I must say, okay, let's try this anyways. I would say the White Mountains in New Hampshire, they're not similar to the mountains in Italy, maybe to the Apennini, not to the Alps, but at least they are mountains, like proper mountains, and Italy is a very mountainous country, so that reminds me of Italy. Second, I would say Vermont. Vermont in general reminds me of a little bit of my region, Friuli. Vermont, for who doesn't know this state, is a state famous for cheese production and good quality food. They have a lot of cows and a lot of animals that they take to pasture. So it's not about intensive farming, it's about the normal way of raising animals. And yeah, it's kind of hilly, and they have mountains too, the Green Mountains in the southern part. And in general, you know, they have farms and stuff like that. So it reminded me a little bit of Friuli. And to be honest, these are only 2. You asked me 3, but I think that's it. That's the landscape here is very different than Italy. You know, maybe some cliffs, either in Long Island, you know, Montauk, or the Palisades in New Jersey. They might remind me of some cliffs in Italy, but still, you know, Liguria or the coast in Campania. But in general, they are very different, unfortunately, for me. Or the coast of Calabria, maybe. Yeah, not the coast of Campania. Hey, you are all calling me killer now just because of this rosemary plant? Oh my god, I gave to this plant all the love she deserved. It's not my fault. I made tons of Google researches about how to keep rosemary alive in a vase, in an apartment. By the way, if any of you knows what I could do with this rosemary, please, please, I beg you, send me an email, text me somewhere. I need to know. There is no information on the internet, not proper information on the internet about how to keep a rosemary alive in the apartment. Because I've always seen bushes of rosemary, in Italy they are very common. You've anywhere you live, if you are making a roast beef, let's say, you just go to the corner of your neighbor and you you take some branches of his rosemary bush. There is always a rosemary bush somewhere that you can go and just get it. I've never seen it in vase. Annabella asks, is there a hole in the vase? Yes, of course. There is a very good drainage. Not only there is a big hole in the vase, but I put also a very good layer of, I use shells, clam shells that I had to improve the drainage. The type of soil is also quite draining, quite sandy, so maybe the only thing I didn't water it enough because I was afraid, rosemary doesn't want too much water. I don't know. Mel, just wait for spring. Yes, maybe you are right. Maybe it was not the right season. I just thought that if I would keep it in the apartment, it would have been fine. Probably it was not. Giuseppe, you're Sicilian. We have a lot of rosemary here. I can send it to you. Thank you, Giuseppe. You are so nice. I just wanted to have some fresh one because the dry one has all the herbs. It changes the flavor. It's not the same. Oh, 20th Century Rider. Hi, MJ. Besides Friuli, which is your most loved region in Italy? P.S. I'm from Lombardia. Thanks. My favorite region? No. No, it's impossible to say. Italy has 20 regions and I've visited most of them. I still miss Valle d'Aosta, Molise, the famous Molise. And that's it, probably. But I cannot tell. No, they are all so beautiful. Each one of them with its own peculiarities. No, I cannot. I really don't know. Sorry. È difficile trovare un lavoro o un appartamento non troppo costoso a New York? Is it difficult to find a job or affordable housing in New York? No and yes. So it's very easy to find job here. There's a lot of jobs. Not right now. Wait, not right now. COVID. Before COVID, it was very easy. To find affordable housing is very difficult. It's not impossible. You can share the apartment with many people. And then there you go, affordable housing, where affordable is very relative though. Affordable here means that if you really live in very, very bad life condition and you are still close to Manhattan, you don't spend less than $600, $700 a month. But it's very, very hard to find something that cheap. Yeah, on average, a tiny apartment costs that it's pretty close to Manhattan or in Manhattan will cost around $2,000 and $3,000, I would say. Like a normal one, because then there are the luxury ones. Let's not talk about them. Luca, do you cook Italian dishes at home for your husband? look, I cook Italian dishes at home, quite many, but not for my husband. I cook them for myself, and then I make double portion also for my husband, but he's not Italian, so he doesn't miss Italian cuisine. I cook them for myself. Oh, David, another super chat. Thank you. Per l'estate mi raccomando Grotta a Mare San Benedetto, la regione di Ascoli Piceno. David, very beautiful places. I must say, for the summer, there are so many places to enjoy it by the seaside in Italy that Grotta Mare and San Benedetto are just two of them. Frat J. Gli americani riconoscono che sei italiano quando parli inglese o pensano semplicemente che tu sia straniera? Oppure pensano che tu sia americana? So he's asking me about my accent when I speak English, how the foreigners perceive my accent. So they certainly understand that I'm foreigner. I have a foreigner accent, but they are not able to understand that I'm from Italy. That's why, oh my God, I have this video, the one where I speak Italian, that is going viral. And people keep commenting that they can hear that that I have an Italian accent. Italian people comment this. And at the beginning of that video, I say, I make this video because I know that I don't have a strong Italian accent in English, which is not my opinion, is what Americans tell me. Nobody is able to understand that I'm from Italy. I ask them so many times when I meet a new person and we chat and we talk and blah, blah, blah. And then at a certain point they ask me, where are you from? And I say, guess. They never, nobody has ever guessed that I'm from Italy. Nobody. Let's see other questions. Oh, Max, interesting question. Are the wages adjusted to the cost of living in New York City? Yes, they are. Minimum wage here is $15 and something per hour. Yes, $15 per hour. No, I was thinking about, is it 13 or 15? Because I know my husband, as I told you, he is an owner of a restaurant, and I know that the waiters, because they can also perceive a tip, they get paid a little bit less. Anyway, it's 15 per hour. $15 and change per hour is the minimum wage here. In Italy, a waiter can get, I don't know, even 4 or 5 euros per hour. The normal for me when I used to be a waitress was about 7 euros, 7, 8 euros. So yeah, pretty different. Isabel asks, did you miss traveling with a friend? Being alone was at some moments depressing or made you feel alone? No, I never missed traveling with a friend because I love the freedom that traveling alone gives you. I tend to be very spontaneous when I travel, so I like to make quick decisions, change plans, stuff like that, take a secondary road. And I never felt alone because I usually couchsurf. So I always meet someone local in the place that I'm visiting. So I'm never alone. On the contrary, sometimes I wish I would not contact as many couchsurfers because then I'm always with someone and I feel like I would like to spend a little bit more time alone. Oh, Johannes, in Germany, minimum wage is €9.35. Wow. How much is it in Italy? I'm curious. I know there are Italians online. So tell me, how much is the minimum wage in Italy? Qual è la paga oraria minima in Italia? Someone asked how I'm dealing with the snow. Oh wait, 7-8 euros? Is it? I'm dealing with the snow amazingly. I don't know why people hate snow so much. Even if I had to shovel snow every day, I would be still happy. So, I love snow. I don't know if there is an official minimum hourly pay in Italy, because people keep answering that they don't know, or they think it's this, they think it's that. In my city, people get this, which, is it possible that there is no official law on this? I know that there is for sure a law on the salary, monthly salary. So if you're working for a company, there is a minimum that you have to get. But yeah, Italians say 5, 6, 7, 8 euros per hour. It depends. Filippo says $15 per hour is not a good wage, considering the cost of living in New York, which is higher 3 times than Italy. Yes, Filippo, you are actually right. In fact, people here, they never work only one job, unless they work for a company, you know, they have a more structured job. But if they have a simple job like being a waiter, they never work only one job. They have at least 2. Many times they have 3 jobs. And I was talking about it with someone the other day. It's kind of crazy, because people, in order to be able to afford to live in New York City, they work 7 days a week, every week. So people don't take days off here because they cannot afford it. So this is another one of those reasons that I was telling you earlier. It's not convenient. Like, it's damaging for a human being to be living in New York City more than a few years, for longer than a few years. Yeah. Let me drink some water. Annabella says, in Portugal, the minimum wage is 635 euros per month, 40 hours per week. I think in Italy it must be 800, I believe, per month. Even if, yeah, like Sarah is saying something clever. It depends on the type of job. Every profession or category has its own national contract where everything is specified. I don't know what's the matter with the lighting today, but I see my face with these spots of overexposure. Let's see if it's better here. No, it's not. It's terrible. Okay, let me put down the curtain. Is this better? I don't know. Oh, David, another super chat. Dovresti cercare su YouTube pizza all'ananas reazioni fan. Yes. David is talking about the reactions the reactions of Italians to pineapple pizza. Annabella, again, a smart comment. I've heard that you can get paid only €2 per hour in Italy, working in agriculture. This is most likely the situation in the south of Italy, where foreigners, but probably not even only foreigners, work illegally and they get paid a misery by the landowners. It's really one of those big social problems that we have in Italy. And yeah, it is true, unfortunately. Grazie Antonello. Il riflesso del sole sulla lente. Steven, pineapple and anchovies on pizza, my breakfast. You are mocking us now, Steven. I know, that's not your breakfast. Frank, ooh, that's an interesting question. Have you found service to be better in the US due to tipping? So, it depends what you mean by better. Because it's more present. I can tell you that it's more present. So the waiters, because they have to get the tip at the end of the meal, they're gonna be more present. They're gonna be around, they're gonna be asking you, is it all right? Can I do something else for you? Can I bring you something? Do you need more water? Do you need more bread? Do you need this? Do you need that? So yes, they are very much more present. They also tend to be more nice in the, they are more smiley, they are more polite, they are more, please, thank you, I'm so happy to have you here today. Let me know if you need anything, blah, blah, blah. Yes. Then better, though, is relative, because for me, the American waiters, in general, there are certain things that I appreciate, like the fact that they are more open and chatty with you. I like that. They are more loose, Italians are usually a little bit, they don't want to talk to you if it's not about the meal that you're getting, Whereas I like to have a small chat, that small talk. Sometimes it's nice, but there is one thing that I absolutely hate about the waiters here is that they do everything. They push you to eat quickly and to free up the table quickly. And I find that absolutely so rude. They take the plate away from you while the other people are still eating, or you are still eating, I eat very slowly, for example, and I like to take breaks in the middle of my meal to chat and to just savor the food, the flavor of the food and stuff like that. And they always think that I'm done, and they come and I have to tell, no, please leave me the plate here and stuff like that. I find that very irritating. Especially they come and they interrupt your conversation with the person that you're eating with to ask, is everything all right? Can I bring you anything else? Which also I find very rude. But again, I know that this is the American culture, and this is good service for American probably. For me, it's very bad service. It's very bad. Like, it's extremely rude and irritating. I'm sorry. But I try to always be very nice with them, because I know that it's not their fault, it's not personal. And also, yeah, of course, I learn to always tip them, because it's just how things work here. Tip them, I mean, good, not a 10-15%, tip them like 20-25%. Let me read some of your comments. There are so many comments today. Ooh, John says, when they hand you the check before you ask for it. Oh my God, that hasn't happened to me yet, but that, yeah, that is extremely rude. Let's say that there are just different styles of serving tables. You know, I've been a waitress for a small moment of my life, and I've been trained to be a waitress in Italy. And one of the most important things that the owner of the restaurant taught me is never rush people to finish their meal. If there are 5 people eating and 4 of them have finished their meal and they have their dirty plates in front of them since 10 minutes, and there is still one person that is super slow and is still eating, do not touch the dishes. Don't you dare touching the dishes. You wait that everyone is finished before taking them. And even when everyone is finished, the owner would require me to wait a few minutes before going and clear up the table. For example, you know, that's how we get trained as waiters in Italy. Where would I live besides New York City? Everywhere. I would love to try to live everywhere. That's why I decided to be a digital nomad, because I wanted to not travel to places, you know, not have a stable job, a rent in a place, and then travel to places to go on vacation. I wanted to actually try to live in places directly. Someone asked about the vaccine here. So the vaccine has already spread so much in the United States. And specifically here in New York City, it started at the beginning of January, I believe, to be distributed. It started with medical staff, obviously, and then it went on with elderly. And since the beginning of this month, the restaurant workers can get the vaccine. Since a few days, it started to be distributed to people with major health problems, like people who are going through cancer and stuff like that. And yeah, that's it. And then what else? Okay, one thing that could be interesting is the fact that there are many discussions about whether people should be forced to have the vaccine or they should be allowed to decide not to get the vaccine. I'm sure in Italy they are discussing a lot about this too, probably in other European countries as well. Here in New York City, let's say that the government cannot force people to do something because it's a very liberal kind of culture here. So personal freedom is very much respected. In Italy too, but many people think that if someone doesn't want to get the vaccine and he gets COVID, he shouldn't be allowed to get medical care for free. So he should pay for his own medical care because he kind of created the situation for him to get, which I agree with, but this is not about my opinion. But here in New York City, especially now because the restaurants are getting, the restaurant staff is getting the vaccine, there has been several cases where some of the staff didn't want to get the vaccine and the owners punished them. But it's not, punish is not the right word. They said, you know what, I don't want you in my staff if you don't get the vaccine. I want to be safe and stuff like that. And so people now are getting more and more divided, as if there was a need for division in this situation here. People are getting more divided even for this, because there are people who are hating on, this is funny because I've had a long conversation with a person on Instagram here in New York City exactly in these past 2 days, because he shamed publicly in his Instagram profile a restaurant owner who fired an employee because she didn't want to get the vaccine. And he hate on this business owner for this, and I just don't understand. It doesn't matter if you agree with him or not. Why should you hate people? Why should you invite others to boycott his restaurant just because he made a choice that is not in tune with your opinion? I don't understand. People should hate less, and I want to encourage all the people, 204 people that are watching this live stream right now, to be a little bit more loose, more flexible, be more open-minded. I know that many people around you right now seem to be completely out of their mind, seem to have crazy opinions and stuff like that. And you also probably think that these opinions are very dangerous for society right now. And it's good that you have your opinion and that you question things, but please don't hate. Please try to understand these people who have a completely different opinion than yours. They're still humans, and they still have their own brain, The fact that they have an opinion that seems so stupid to you doesn't make them stupid. They have their own reasons. They probably are living in a different environment than you. If you also lived in an environment where everyone around you thinks in one way, you would also be brought to think that way too, even if that way is so absurd for the you who lives in another environment. And all these things, hating on people, insulting people doesn't help anyone. Who is helping? It doesn't help them because they just feel mortified and they're gonna feel like they are attacked. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help society because nobody is gonna learn anything. So instead of hating on someone, try to maybe just give your opinion in a way that shows that you understand their point of view, sorry. You know what I mean? Please, please try to understand. Be empathetic, okay? Try to understand that people can have completely different opinions, completely different perspectives. I live here in the United States, which is a place where there are so many people who believe in conspirational theories. It's ridiculous. I'm completely against conspirational theories. But still, it doesn't mean that I have to hate on these people. And also, it doesn't mean that I shouldn't talk to these people, On the contrary, it's nice to talk to people who have such a different perspective than yours, because it makes you feel less divided from them and from all the people who have these strange opinions. Maybe if you listen to them, you would understand better. You don't need to change your opinion, just understand that people can have a different one than you do. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna. Okay, let's go on with the comments here. Elise, thank you for the super chat. Grazie, Elise. Nice to see you here. David, I think she should have been educated, not fired. She was afraid and didn't know what to think. I know it's safe, but I know not everyone knows. Yes, David, I on one side I agree with you. On the other side, I know that the problem is way more rooted. Yeah, probably many people who believe in these conspirational theories, they just need to get more educated. But I also know that there are people who believe in these theories that are educated people. So I really don't know how to fight against this problem. I think it's such a complex and difficult problem to eradicate. It's quite scary, honestly. Especially for me living here, coming from a country where conspiracy theories are not that common. They are common. I mean, there are in Italy too conspirational theories, but not as much as here. Here, you people who believe in this stuff, they are around you, you know? And they are so many. Okay, I'm reading some comments. I'm gonna shut up for a moment. Team says something right. Just because it's a conspiracy theory doesn't mean it's not right. That is very true. In fact, conspiracy theories are not just crazy, completely out of this world crazy theories. They could be right, they could be wrong, there could be partially right, they could be partially wrong. The point is that we don't know. There are theories that are not based on evidence, on complete evidence. Then if you talk to them, they are going to tell you, but they are based on evidence. Look at all this evidence. And then, no, you realize that those are not evidences. Those are just clues that something deeper is going on there, but they are not evidences. And so, yeah, I realize that conspiracy theories could be right. But since we don't know, why should we revolutionize the entire world, the entire existence, just based on the suspect that something else is going on there, you know? I got another super chat. Let me read that. Johannes, hi! Danke sehr. Do you have access to healthcare in your city? And when yes, how much do you have to pay for it? Good question. Yes, I do. It was not easy because I'm still in the process of waiting for my green card. I applied last summer, but because of COVID, times are so much longer than usual. So it's been difficult because I didn't have a social security number, which is like codice fiscale in Italy. But now I have insurance with Metro Health New York City, which is a very popular insurance company here in New York City. So I've heard. My husband dealt with it, honestly, luckily, because I don't know anything about insurances. So he just added me to his insurance, and I know that I only pay for medical and dental insurance, I think 40 per month, 40, 45 per month, which is nothing. But I pay this little just because I'm attached to his insurance, so he's paying way more. The fact is that we are married, so it's not he pays or I pay, you know, the money are the same. So I don't know exactly how much we pay as a married couple. It's a few hundred per month. I don't remember how much. I know that it's a very fairly cheap insurance. That's all I know. Sorry, I cannot give more interesting information about this. Yeah, Vittorio also, how much an insurance costs in your city on average? I don't know. Sorry about that. I hate dealing with these things, so I outsource everything to my husband. Ooh, someone asks if I work in New Jersey. No, if I work in Manhattan and live in New Jersey, is it gonna be convenient because New Jersey is less expensive? No, New Jersey is not less expensive. It's as expensive expensive as Manhattan. I'm talking about Jersey City, obviously. If you go to other parts of New Jersey that are further from New York City, then it's going to be less expensive. But no, it's still, in general, life in the United States, it's more expensive. Even if you go to more rural areas, it's still more expensive than what we are used to in Italy. So don't think that it's convenient. I think it's only convenient to live and work here if you want to live here, not because you want to make money. Unless you really do it for a very short period of time, just a few months, you come here, you earn tons of money, you spend months just working, not resting, not going out, not doing anything, and you live in very miserable condition. I don't know what's happening in the chat. I think you're having some problems. As you know, I don't really control the chat because I cannot manage to talk, to read the messages, and to do so many things at once. So I delegated a few of my subscribers to do that. So I'm sorry, I have no control under that. Ralph, hello. Ralph is my oldest patron. Thank you for the super chat, Ralph. It's nice to see you here. Great advice, Mary Jane. I have to get going, but I wish you continued success with your channel. Thank you. And try to keep your fingers off the delete key. I will. Thank you, Ralph. Have a good Sunday. John Torres, have you experienced any racism in New York City towards me? No. I'm white privileged here. Plus, I'm a woman. Look, I have certain opinions about racism, especially racism in America, that I don't feel I want to talk about them here because it's a very delicate matter, but I've been thinking for months about talking about them in a video. I don't know if I'll ever gonna do that because it's an extremely delicate topic here. Extremely delicate. It's not like it's worse than a taboo, because a taboo, you don't talk about it, and if one person talks about it at a certain point, it's more the scandal that you talked about it. Here, you can talk about racism. People talk about it all the time, luckily, but it's such a sensitive topic. I've never seen anything like that before in my life, so I don't know if I want to get involved so much. At the same time, I feel the civic duty to get involved because I'm a citizen, you know, and I have certain benefits and I have a certain power, so it's a strange matter. David, are you bored of being told you are beautiful? And between Italy and USA, which place do you hear it more? Oh wow. Oh, that's an interesting question. Yes, I am very bored. I'm very bored and very annoyed too of hearing people commenting on my physical aspect, on my looks. At the same time, I know that I cannot complain about it because, again, it's a privilege to have good looks, right? So you cannot complain about it. Yes, I very often feel that I am judged mainly for my looks instead of for my personality, my brains, my education, my abilities, my skills. But again, it's not something I can really complain about or talk about. If I hear more comments on my looks from Americans or Italians, it's a very easy question at this point of things, because I've always had a very big American following on my YouTube channel, but lately I've been having many new Italians because one of my videos about Italy went viral. And so I can tell you, Italians are extremely focused on looks. I don't know what's the matter with them. I think it's not about they are focused on looks. I think they are focused on women's looks, which is very sad. I keep getting public comments and personal messages all the time where people mention my looks. Some of them are obviously not done with bad intentions, because they say, I love your videos and may I also say you are very beautiful. And that is kind of fine. I mean, I cannot make them guilty, right? Because they also say, I like your work. But then there are those people who just comment on my looks, and it feels degrading. Not only for me. I was lucky enough to be gifted with a very strong self-confidence, so I don't need other people's approval or anything like that. But it's degrading for our gender. It's degrading for our gender. It's degrading to hear that men are still so attached to how a woman looks in certain cultures. And I'm very sad that this happens to my own culture. I mean, this happens from people of my own culture. Very sad. Thanks for the question, David. Francesco, a very, very easy question to answer. What is the hardest thing to get used to living in your city for Italian people? The food and way of eating it. Absolutely. Not only the food meant as quality of food, quality of ingredients, also the way of eating it, intended as I was mentioning before, in the restaurants you get rushed. You cannot just spend 2 or 3 hours having dinner, which is normal in Italy. Here it's not. 1 hour is more than enough, then you have to go. We have new customers to come in and to give us more money. Another thing is that people eat on a rush. Again, on a rush. Everything is on a rush here, to be honest. People eat on the go. So they have no problems eating on the street. I know that in Italy it's becoming more and more common, this thing of street food, which is nice, is fine. But let's remember that one of the most beautiful things that our country has and other countries don't have is the fact that we eat slow, we take our time, we sit down, we set up the table before having a meal, we collect a community of people to share our meal with, and all that stuff. That's it. Let's see other questions. Oh, wow. So much has been happening on the chat. If I miss relatives after a so long stay away from home, yes, I miss them very much. I've always missed them during this past year, I mean. Jason, hi Jason, he says many metrosexuals in Italy. You know, fun fact, I've never met a metrosexual in Italy. I remember this guy in Rome who was considered a metrosexual in our group of friends, who I never really understood why, because he didn't seem to enjoy, you know, women products or care so much about his looks. So I don't know. Whereas I've met quite a few metrosexuals here in North America. I guess. I don't know. Every experience is relative after all, right? Ooh, Alessandro, who is your favorite classical composer and why? I'm not that knowledgeable about classical music, unfortunately. I've always wanted to, but I'm really not. If I really had to pick a classical composer that is my favorite, I would say Friedrich Chopin. I don't know how to pronounce it because he was from Bohemia and then he moved to France, so whatever. Chopin, in any case. Yeah, I love piano. I grew up playing piano and Chopin is my favorite piano composer. I mean, not very original, but it's the truth. Come viene vista l'Italia dai newyorkesi? Quanti vorrebbero venirci? How is Italy seen by New Yorkers and how many would like to come here? Good question. We don't talk much about Italy here. No, it's seen for sure as a beautiful country. Many would like to come, many has come already. I mean, come, go. And, oh, Nico. Ooh, someone is coming. Nico! This is Nico. Let's see if she comes up. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Ooh, Nico. Show yourself. How do Italians feel about American military bases and soldiers in Italy? I know many women like to date the American military men in their countries. Oh my God. I had no ideas about this dating detail. But how Italians feel about military bases, well, I don't know what the general opinion is. I can tell you again what's my experience, what is the opinion around my group of people that I know. I come from a region where there are multiple American military bases. There is a very big one in Aviano, in the province of Pordenone. And I mean, it brings work to people. So, for example, my cousin, I remember he has worked as medical person in that base for a while. But in general, I don't know. It's a very biased opinion. You know, I'm against the army in general. And I'm even more, but extremely more, against army being present in foreign countries. Plus, I am very, very critic against the American military policies. I'm completely against their I'm completely against American army being present in other countries. I'm completely against the imperialist foreign policy of the United States, and therefore the fact that we have so many American military bases in Italy is very, 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 very annoying, irritating for me. I absolutely hate it. I absolutely hate the fact that we give away precious parts of our very scarce, beautiful land to foreigners who are very aggressive and want to build military bases in our country. And not only in our country, in countries that are not theirs. Like, just stay in your own country. Why do you have to go around the world and control everyone? Yeah, I guess my opinion is the only one that I feel comfortable giving, because I cannot speak for the Italians. You know, I don't know how they are perceived. Some people are pro, some people are against them. That's it. Vittorio, ho letto il tuo messaggio, ma non lo leggo pubblicamente. Mi fa piacere comunque. Someone asked if I met my husband in a military base. No, I met him here in New York City. Do you ever, I'm translating from Italian, do you ever have comprehension problems when the Americans talk fast? I don't anymore, since maybe in the first couple of years of my channel, but now since at least 1 year, I don't have problems understanding at any speed. The problem is when someone has a very strong accent or slang. For example, when I'm, I don't know, in certain poorer neighborhoods of New York City, or I'm on a train that is coming from there, so there are people who talk with a very strong slang, I realize that I'm not able to understand a good percentage of what they're saying. I've also lived in an area in Brooklyn that is close to Brownsville, so it's still Bed-Stuy, but almost Brownsville, let's say. And many people that I was hearing, I could not understand what they were saying, and yet they were speaking English. So that was very curious. David, another super chat. Ti alleni nella palestra normalmente senza COVID? So if I work out at the gym, usually without COVID, I used to up to 25 years old, and then I stopped, and then I started traveling full time, so I didn't want to register into a gym in every place that I was going to. Also, I didn't have time to go to the gym because I was just going around visiting the country. So no, not anymore. Henry Chang, hi, nice to see you here. Henry, you know, Henry wrote me an email a couple of years ago to suggest me with a video idea with the top 10 places to relax and to meditate in New York City. And at the time, I was still traveling to New York City. It was completely pre-pandemic. And I thought it was a great idea, but I wasn't in a rush to create a video about it. Now, oh my God, I would be in so much need of those places, and unfortunately many of them are closed due to COVID. But yeah, that's a little story about me and Henry. Thank you for the super chat, Henry. Happy Sunday. If you could make a rule for a day and everyone had to follow it, what would it be? Oh, wow. Such a good one. Nice. So without thinking too much about it, I would make a rule that for one day, everyone should live the life that another person lives, a person who lives in very different conditions than theirs. So, for example, a Manhattan millionaire should live in the condition of like a person with 5 kids who's struggling to survive in South Bronx, or a person who lives in a small town in Mexico, living out of their own land. And for example, well, you get the drill anyways. So yeah, for one day, everyone should try to live in conditions completely different than theirs. That would be so cool. Okay, and I think with this, I think we can end this live chat. I thank you all for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me. I hope you learned something during this chat. That is the most important thing, that I hope that you learned something and that you had a nice time anyways. And I wish you a happy Sunday. And from me and Nico, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.